Hello guys, welcome back to another video where I am reviewing another car for Assetto Corsa. Now this car came from AssettoCars.com, and I will leave a link down below if you want to check it out. But other than that, let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so in this episode we're going to be reviewing the Brabham BT62. Now, just to give you a little background on the car, this is an Australian-built supercar that is track-focused and track-focused only. You have to convert this car to a road car. Like, that's how race car this car is. It weighs just over a ton at 2,100 pounds, which is about 1,000 kilos. It has a 6-speed sequential transmission made by Hollinger. It has full carbon brakes. It is rear-wheel drive. It has a 5.4-liter V8 that produces about 700 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. This motor is not confirmed to be based off of any other motor, but Brabham has said that it is based off of another production car motor or a mass-produced engine. So speculation is that it's based off the Ford V8 off the 5.0. It's just bored out and then given a shit ton more power. This car is literally insane when it comes to being a race car because it produces more than its weight in downforce. It produces about 2,600 pounds of downforce or 1,200 kilos. And this car has an optional passenger seat and a fully FIA certified interior, which means roll cage, seats, 6-point harness, everything like that. And this car does not have any racing success at this point, but it is scheduled to compete in the British Endurance Car Championship in 2020. And just a little note about the downforce part, yes, it does produce more downforce than it weighs, and yes, that does mean it can drive upside down. So now let's get into my initial thoughts on the car. First time driving this out, I was on Imola, which is an Italian racetrack. And it's a very straightaway focused track with some tight corners and some very hard braking zones. Just to give you a little background on what I was thinking when I was first driving this car, what was running through my head. My initial thought is that it was incredibly fast. The acceleration was insane. It's like nothing I've seen before, especially in this kind of car, but that is because it's on slick tires. It has 700 horsepower. It's, NA, it's just raw power. And it was great to drive, honestly, until you get to a turn, and then it's impeccably hard to control. The downforce is great, but it's very squabbly, and the suspension is a little soft, so I mean, I'm sure you could fix that with some tuning out, but I'm not good at that, so I didn't really bother. I just kind of dealt with the hard to control car. And the next thing I noticed is the brakes are incredibly good, like really good. Like, it's very easy to lock up. You likely will lock up a bunch of times if you're going to drive this car. I had a really good time with it, though, in the braking zones, because you would lock up and just skid into the turn and then get off the brake, and then you're good. And my initial thought on the gearing on the transmission was that it's kind of weird, because first and second are really short, and so it feels like you're getting a bunch of wheel spin when you just start spanking the rev limiter, and then you shift up and you realize, oh, I'm getting literally no wheel spin because this car has loads and loads of grip. So that was kind of interesting, and those are my initial thoughts on the Brabham BT62. Now, after driving it a bit more, I'm putting some good laps in on Imola, Monza, Magione, and none other than the Red Bull Ring in Austria. I had a couple more thoughts that I wanted to add, since I felt a little more comfortable in the car and had a little bit better of a position to make some, to draw some opinions on the car. So, one thing I actually wanted to change from my initial thoughts, the gearing is actually really good. Once you figure out when you are getting wheel spin and when you're not, the gearing is actually perfect for acceleration, for getting around the corners, just for top speed. I think it'll be like 300 kph or something crazy like that. But the gearing is actually really good. Another thing I noticed, the car is still incredibly fast. There's no getting around that. It's 700 horsepower rear-wheel drive, NA raw power, just absolutely insane. And the other thing I noticed is that it has loads of downforce, but there is a caveat. You only really notice it in the corners. Because this car has so much power and it's at every angle in the power band and it's literally everywhere, you only notice it in the corners because you're going so fast on the straightaways and accelerating into turns that you don't really notice the amount of downforce until you hit the brake and then turn in and you think, oh, I should probably slow down a little bit more, but the car just slows down for you and you just take the turn and just rip it around. And I would like to note and just go on a little tangent about how actually properly powerful this car is. I don't think you know what 700 NA horsepower feels like until you drive this kind of car. It's absolutely insane. Starting off at I think it idles probably 1400 RPM, but even starting there, the car has so much power. It's incredible to control. As you can see in my laps, I literally did a burnout off of every line, and yes, I did assist that a little bit with the brake, but I didn't have to, honestly. It just has that much power. You can just mash the gas and sit there and spin the wheels all day. So definitely, if you are driving it, be careful coming out of the corners just in case so you don't spin out. Alright, so now time for the big part of this video, the lap. So as you know, in this series, we're doing a lap with every single car that I do. Actually, I'm doing 10 laps with every single car that I do. Unlimited tuning amount that I want to do, whatever I want, and we're doing 10 laps. So it started out kind of shaky for me. The first couple laps, the best I was able to set was a 134.289, which is considerably slower. Well, not considerably slower. It's about a second off the pace of the Audi TTR. But it was slower than I thought the car would perform. And then, after I started adjusting the brake bias a little bit, because my main problem was I was locking up going into every single turn. So I started adjusting the brake bias and being a little more gentle with the brakes. I finally got down to a 132.185, which is actually faster than the Audi TTR, but still not quite as fast as I was expecting. So I'm a little bit disappointed, but I think that's because Austria has two very long straightaways, and I did have the downforce turned up pretty high. So I wonder if I turned the downforce down and then tried to rip it around if I would get any different result, but I didn't really try that. My laps ran out, and so I had what I had, and I just went with it. So yeah, this car beat the Audi TTR with a 132.185. I'll put a little spreadsheet screenshot up on the screen right now to show you guys what both cars ran. This is on Austria, by the way, on the Red Bull ring. That's where I'm testing all these cars just to keep it even, and with my driver mod, just so we can keep it all even to see which car actually drives the best. Alright guys, so to wrap this up, I would just like to say I had a great time driving this car and reviewing it for you guys, so I really hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. This car was a blast to drive, just 700 horsepower, all NA, just perfect rear-wheel drive on slicks. It was great. My initial thought driving this car was it would be a great drift car, but unfortunately there's no handbrake, so you can't really do that. But if you give it enough gas, you guys will have fun power sliding around the corners. But other than that, that is going to wrap this up for today's video. I will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think of this car in the comments below, and tell me your favorite car and what car I should review next. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.